What's up, everybody? Welcome back in to another episode of One and O. And if you can see the smile on my face, you see the boot on my hat, you see this black and gold on my jersey. Look, if you're an LSU football fan, you're probably a Louisiana football fan. Maybe you're not. There are probably some exceptions out there. But like most of us, you're a New Orleans Saints fan as well. And Louisiana football, even if in college it's not the top of the world, it's not preparing for a national championship, which we have tomorrow and we'll talk about today. Louisiana football is alive and well after they didn't choke in the first round. Praise be the Saints and the great God above us, because the boot is still kicking in the NFL, and it's so good to see. They tried to give up the wide open passes, and Mitch Trubisky, he tried to throw the wide open dimes, and they were dropped in the end zone. I mean, there were a couple of those where the Saints defense got a little luck. There were some calls that maybe should have gone the Bears' way, but the football gods repaid the New Orleans Saints for the pain that they have had to suffer through just over the past couple of years. So God bless the Saints. God bless the Saints up above in the football god world that allowed for this to happen today. And we will have Tom Brady versus Drew Brees, part 3, in the divisional round in New Orleans, probably right around here on my hat. Okay, right there in the boot. I wish I could zoom in, but I don't have that capability, and apparently I'm technologically incompetent. No, I could, but I just don't want to do the editing. Welcome to 1 and 0. Speaking of being 1 and 0, we're just going to go straight into it. I could talk about what we're going to do, but we're just going to keep going because I don't know why. I'm feeling good. Baker Mayfield is 1 and 0 in the playoffs, whether you like it or not. And if you're watching this video and after that you just scoffed, you're like, oh, this dude's a Baker lover and Baker's a D-bag. I'm sorry. I like it. I have when I was at Oklahoma, or I was never at Oklahoma. What am I talking about? I liked it when he was at Oklahoma. I like it now. The only man, well, there might be a couple people above Baker Mayfield, but growing up in the 2000s and really watching college football in my teenage years, kind of starting around when Baker was popping, um, he's probably my second favorite college quarterback I've ever watched. Um, Johnny Manziel's another favorite because he beat Alabama a couple of times and he was just electric. And then, of course, Joey B is number one. But so happy for the Browns, man. So happy for Browns fans. And so happy for them that they told Juju Smith-Schuster to take his TikToks, turn that you-know-what sideways, and stick it straight up as you-know-what. If you watch WWE at any point in your life, I'm not a big WWE guy now because I found the UFC and I was like, oh, this is just WWE, but it's real. So much more enticing to me now as a 20-year-old man, I guess you can say. That's weird. That's the first time in my life that I've ever just sat here and been like, I just called myself a man. I still feel like a child. It's weird, but that's just, I don't know. Maybe that's how we all feel. You're getting late night Jude tonight. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that sometimes on these episodes where I'm recording right now 1:15 a.m., you're going to get a different Jude. You're going to get some different vibes. So I know I'm not jumping right into sports stuff, but this is what you get, and I'm glad that you're here with me. Anyways, let's get a little bit more on schedule now. How long we've been going for about 4 minutes on here, and first of all, my cord is stuck. If watch the, you can see me struggle on the YouTube video. If you're listening on the audio stream, go check out the YouTube video at any point. I thank you for listening on the audio stream though, for real. Okay, so we're gonna start off talking about day 2 of the NFL, right? Of Wild Card Weekend. We got everything set. We'll talk about the 3 games today. We'll talk a little bit about the Spurs. Probably not too much because I know I'm a Spurs fan. You guys know this if you're watching the show. If you listen, you may be a Spurs fan. I honestly didn't watch too much of today's game because I hate to say it, I was just more interested in the Cleveland Browns beating the crap out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was before that even happened. Like, I just wanted to watch this game. I was really intrigued by it. I picked the Browns despite all of, the adversity that they had, just because I don't know, I had a gut feeling and it was right this time. And then we'll talk about the national championship. We'll do a little bit of preview of that to end the show today. But once again, going back to these NFL games, let's continue talking about the Browns' domination and then a little bit of a let back in and then dagger to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, anyways, I know I went on a whole WWE tangent there for a while. The Rock said what I said, but much more vulgar. But we're not going to say that. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it clean. Maybe sometimes we'll dive in to a little bit of PG-13, but we'll keep it clean on 1-0. So Baker Mayfield, phenomenal game. The Van Pelt guy or whoever was the interim head coach, not Kevin Stefanski in his basement. Great play calling. There were a bunch of screen passes that they ran to Kareem Hunt and obviously the touchdown to Nick Chubb to put him up 42-23, which ended up being the dagger, was huge. The turnovers that they created, and some of them weren't even them that they created. I mean, on the first play, whenever Mike Pouncey, who never makes mistakes as a center, he's been an all-pro his entire career, been in the league for forever, just shoots it over Pittsburgh's head. Big Ben, right, who's 6'6", just shoots it over his head, and it's straight in the end zone. I was like, oh, the football gods have intervened. They've come here to end the suffering. And boy, did they ever. Now they've got the Chiefs, and that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I mean, the interceptions, the tipped balls, the overthrown checkdowns that turned into interception, the dropped passes that turned into interceptions, and then just Sion Taki reading the coverage at the end of the game to get that game-sealing INT. I mean, it was just the Browns' night. That's all it was. They had that right guard who came in like one of the most important moments in the game, and Baker met him at the beginning of the game in the locker room. Like, it was just the football gods said, Cleveland, you got a competent coach. You got yourself a franchise quarterback. You got yourself 2 franchise running backs. Your best receiver isn't even there, but you still got Jarvis Landry, who is a legend, NFLSU, a boot native, and we're gonna give you this one. We're gonna make you sweat a little bit, but we're gonna give you this one. And I mean, look, I'm not a Browns fan. I like a lot of the players in the team. I love Jacob Phillips. Obviously, even though Odell has his antics, he's a Tiger, so I love him. And then Jarvis, he's a Tiger. I love him. Greedy Williams, a Tiger. I love him. The list goes on and on. There's a bunch of Browns players that are from LSU. So obviously there's that. But then on top of that, it's like these Browns. I'm completely losing my train of thought. I was trying to pull it off there, but I can't. I can't fake it. I'm just blanking right now. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyways, let's get back on track. What was I talking about? I don't even know. It was Jacob Phillips and the Browns, and I'm not a Browns fan. That's what we were on. Even though they have a lot of LSU players, it's just when you see a franchise like that suffer for how long they did, it's just like it. I don't think it matters. I mean, unless you're a Steelers fan, this felt good tonight. I feel like for most of the NFL, this felt good. Maybe if you're a Chiefs fan, you're like, oh, this Browns team, they look a little nasty. But I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, you shouldn't. I don't think you should be concerned. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you should be, but I mean, I really don't think you're gonna lose, even if it ends up being a close game, because Cleveland's a damn good team. We saw that, and they'll have the head coach back, so they'll probably be even better. But also Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, more experience. I mean, this is only Baker's second playoff game, and just some. I mean, it's the Chiefs, so we'll have to see. Maybe there's a crazy upset, and this is just the Browns' year, and that would honestly be the greatest thing ever. And I mean, I wouldn't hate it if the Chiefs won too. Well, it depends. I mean, if the Saints are in the Super Bowl against the Browns, that's gonna be so sad for me because I'm gonna be like, if I lose, like it's gonna be like, crap, the Saints lost the Super Bowl. That sucks. But it's different than LSU for me. Like I'm a Saints fan, don't get me wrong, but I'm just more of a college guy than an NFL guy. Where if it's like if you lose to the Browns, it's like, man, look, like yeah, it's been a while for us, but like we still had one in 2009. Like y'all ain't never had one eh, in the NFL since the merger, and I would just be happy for their fans. They've suffered so long. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't think they're going to get back the Chiefs. That's a whole. We're going on tangents today. This is the tangent episode. I may just literally name this the tangent episode. Usually I have everything else, but this may just be called Late Night Jude Special or something like that because there's some weirdness in this episode. Okay, and then obviously this morning we had Lamar Jackson avenging the Tennessee Titans. Some bad play calling on the Titans' part, even some bad play calling late on the Ravens' part. Like, why are you passing when you're up like that? But whatever, they ended up getting the first down to seal it. But got that one right. Actually, got all three games right today. Did I get every game right yesterday? I know I got the Bills game. That game was correct. I got the Bucks game right. And then what was that one in between? Oh, the Hawks and the Rams. So that's the only one I got wrong. Wow, I'm better at this than college. Which makes no sense because I know more about college football than the NFL, but almost went completely correct on the predictions. Just went 5-1. Well, it'll be interesting. That Rams team's going to be tough to deal with too. They're going to be a tough out. They're just going to be like dirty and grimy, and they're going to play their game. They're going to play really good defense, and then they're just going to do these long, tenuous drives down the field, and the Packers are going to be like, I hate this. I want to go fast. And I'm going to be like, I understand your pain right now. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see. These divisional matchups are going to be fun. I'll save that for a later episode. I'm trying to think if I have any like more concrete thoughts on today's game. Okay, here let's do some final thoughts on the Saints. Should have won by more. Maybe gave up too much. Got lucky on a couple plays. Once again, should have played better on offense. Missed field goal. That Taysom fumble. Defense is awesome. I think I might have said earlier that they shouldn't have given up that much points, but I take that back now that I'm thinking about it. Putting 2 seconds of thought into it. Defense played great. The Bears are better than the Washington football team, and the Saints beat the Bears by more than the Bucs beat the football team by. We'll get into that later. That's going to be a close game. Brady in the playoffs is going to be very tough, but it's time, Louisiana. All right, let's move on to the San Antonio Spurs. So, Lonnie Walker cooking in the first half, but it didn't matter because DeMar DeRozan wasn't there. Pain. And slow down. Let's look at the final stats in this one. I got to see a little bit of it. I saw there were a bunch of opportunities there at the end, just couldn't get a shot to go down. It's tough to beat a team back-to-back in their own crib. I really wanted this win. The Spurs fan base and the Spurs really wanted this win. It did not happen. Keldon had an off night, but still found ways to contribute. Trey Lyles got 35 minutes. I know you want to go 9 guys deep. So, I mean, I guess I get it. I don't know if I would have started Trey Lyles, though. I know you want Rudy, Jakob, and Patty off the bench. I might have liked starting Devin Vassell. I don't know what you do in this situation. I think you give Lucas Samanic 50 minutes tonight. to be completely honest with you. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Yeah, no, that's probably the right move, but still, that's whack. We're not as deep as we think to say. Lonnie Walker had 25, but he had 22 in the first half. So in the second half, he only had 3 points. Not that great. DeJounte, still looking for that consistency. LaMarcus had 29. Yay. Patty, not the greatest shooting night, but it still found a way to get 18 points, and they were in the game. This just kind of goes to the point that DeMar DeRozan is better than LaMarcus Aldridge. I feel like while the stats say that the Spurs are 4-1 and 1-3 without LaMarcus, in every single game with LaMarcus so far this year, they've had DeMar DeRozan. He's better than LaMarcus. I feel like the Spurs may have won this game if he was there. I'm forgetting about the most important part. I knew I'm looking at this and I'm like, why did they? When I was going on that tangent about Trey Lyles, it's like there's somebody else that could play. Derek White. I'm blind. Obviously, he's injured, so they can't play him. But in my mind, I was like, there's somebody else on this roster who can start and would make a huge difference. And usually Trey Lyles would not get the start. Because I was like, what? Our depth is not this bad. That's because our best player's injured. So, yeah. This is an interesting one tonight, y'all. Thank you for staying with me if you're here 17 minutes in. And we still got a whole national championship preview to talk about, but Spurs need Derek back. That's I think the conclusion. Trade LaMarcus. Honestly, maybe even trade DeMar. I love him if he stay. No, I don't want him to stay after this year. But keep him through the deadline if you have to choose between one, because him and Derek White being back is huge, and then whatever pieces you get for LaMarcus, just better role players, would be huge as well. Once again, we will have to see. I don't hate the team that the Spurs have right now. I feel like it can, at full strength, this is a playoff team. I don't know what the seed can be. I feel like the cap is like a, I was going to say 6 seed, but the way they're playing, I don't know, maybe with Derek White, I really need to see them, like when Derek White is 100%. Because in that one game he played, you could tell. Well, first of all, he broke his toe in the second quarter. So he wasn't at 100% in that game. So I really want to, with Derek White, with at 100%, I'm curious to see what this team looks like. So maybe that's 6 seed, but really I feel like cap is 7 seed. That's where they need to get, because 8 seed, it's just, there's no chance. With the 7th seed, there's a maybe. Revenge series against the Clips. Well, and the West is so even this year. It's pretty insane. Like what? The Spurs are 5-5 right now, and I guess they're out of the playoffs now. They're 1 game back, and there's 3 teams. And first of all, the Denver Nuggets are tied with them. And they were the 3 seed last year. And then every other, there's 3 teams above them that are 5-4 that just haven't played as many games. So crazy West. Lakers are up on top with the Suns and the Clippers. The freaking Suns, man. If the Suns end up being the 2 seed, that's going to be crazy. I don't think that'll last. But I don't know, man. West is crazy. And OKC at 5-4. Oh my gosh. I'm just looking at these standings for the first time. This is pretty crazy. Toronto is 2-7. What? Brooklyn's 5-6. The Charlotte Hornets with LaMelo Ball are 5-5. Let's see. Cleveland's 5-5. The Knicks are 5-5. The Orlando Magic are 6-4. This is a little NBA update. This is gonna be a longer episode. Usually I cut this thing off. It's already been 20 minutes. Ooh. Maybe I should do 2. Nah. See, this is what you get on the late night. On the late night McClaren special is you get me thinking about what I want to do on the show, live on the show. I think we'll just talk about the national championship here because I'd rather you just have press play on one episode. Okay, let's talk about the national championship today. That's weird, first of all, that the national championship is tonight. I mean, that's amazing, but it's also weird. I'm not sure what's going to happen in this game. I would love and would like, for the first time in my life, mind you, with my Louisiana football jersey and my Louisiana hat on, to see Alabama beat the crap out of Ohio State. And LSU fans, Louisiana football fans, I am so sorry if you are offended and you are hurt by that. But I don't like Ryan Day. I don't. He's pompous and he's arrogant. I've said this on the show before. There's like him, Tom Herman, and Dan Mullen. They're all just a bunch of self-serving and self-suffocating jerks, in my opinion. That's just the vibes that I get from them. I could potentially be wrong on that. I've never met the people, but they just seem like jerks. And once again, arrogant, what's the word? I can't think of the adjective right now, but they're just very obsessed. Self-obsessed. That's self-obsessed and self-absorbed. Can't think of another word either, but just very in love with themselves. I'm psychoanalyzing Ryan Day right now. Anyways, I don't like it. Another thing about me y'all might think weird is I actually rock with Clemson a little bit. I've always liked what they've done, especially them beating Alabama, and just them kind of being a homegrown dynasty, and the fun that they have with the pizza parties and stuff. It's always been appealing to me. So them beating up on Clemson was tough. I thought Trevor was going to go in there and show him who's boss, but obviously, that ended up not being the case. So I kind of want Nick Saban to just put Ryan Day back in his little baby carriage, and we can hear him whine about the officials after the game like he did last year. Like, whatever, dude. Anyways, he's just an arrogant jerk. So I kind of want the well-oiled machine to just show Ryan Day that he's not as good as he thinks he is. Justin Fields, you're not as good as you think you are. And that was kind of what happened last year with Clemson, where you could just see the look on their face. I remember Justin Fields like this, like holding his helmet, like in disbelief that he threw that interception. And there's just this disbelief. It was like they didn't acknowledge it. I mean, they held on to it, but they were like, we won that game, but it's a L. We're going to put it in the gym every day so we think about it. And you've thought about it all year. And now you're going to go play Alabama. Obviously, there's some COVID issues that will have some Ohio State players out as well. Shaun Wade was getting cooked by Clemson's third-string receivers. Everybody forgets about that. I mean, obviously, I forget his name, number 17. He's a beast, but he was also their third-string receiver. Everybody forgets about that. Justin Ross is out. A couple other guys are out. Clemson's just deep at receiver. I mean, this is a school that's put out guys like Sammy Watkins and DeAndre Hopkins, and Mike Williams. The list goes on and on. So they're deep. Jalen Waddle is playing, and the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, and John Mechie III. Their secondary is getting cooked. So it's going to be a shootout if Ohio State wants to be in this game. That's another interesting thing. Darion Kendrick's a first-round pick and all, but he's been getting cooked since the national championship last year. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are really good. But the secondary was just small for Clemson. I hate to say it, they just were. On the field, you could see the size and the physicality difference. They're younger guys. They'll be more physical and bigger as they get older. Alabama has the number 7th ranked cornerback prospect, or excuse me, the number 7th ranked prospect in the draft overall at cornerback in a 6'2", 202-pound Patrick Surtain. There will be some plays where Ohio State gets him. I do not think that they will. Olave is not that big. Maybe Garrett Wilson can match up with him a little bit. Maybe they can outrun him a couple times. But I mean, I feel like Patrick Surtain is going to do a good job for the majority of the game eliminating one side of the field on the majority of plays. There will be plays inevitably where he will get got. Ohio State they're just that good. So that once again goes to Trey Sermon, who has been an X factor. But once again, Alabama's defensive line and their linebackers are also better than Clemson's. So even if they have some productivity, barring me just being flat out wrong and Alabama having a bad day and Ohio State outplaying them, which, I mean, could happen. Who knows? But everything tells me that, you know, they're going to probably do a better job in preparation than Clemson did. They've got more talent. And so that tells me that Trey Sermon's not just going to do what he wants. Chris Olave and company aren't just going to do what they want. Is Justin Fields playing with recovering broken ribs? That's a question that we don't know. Lots of questions. And lots of improved players and improved coaching. So this leads me to believe that once again, Ohio State will not just do what they want the way that they did against Clemson. So, once again, that goes back down to the offense. We just talked about it. Better receivers. Only thing it's probably not as good of as is a quarterback, but he's still pretty darn good. He's the runner-up Heisman guy, Mac Jones. Probably a better offensive scheme. They'll have their offensive play caller. Their OC will not be sidelined. Steve Sarkisian will be there, and this will be his last game. He's basically a head coach as your play caller. And you've got Nick Saban, who's been hungry for a championship after he hasn't had one in 3 years. And that's a drought for Alabama. So I'm rolling with Bama to win the game, but Ohio State is going to score some points. Ohio State can win this game, though. They could surprise everybody and just come out and score enough points. But I don't think that if Ohio State wins this game, it's going to be a blowout. Even if they're able to have their way with the Alabama defense, which we've seen the defense struggle at times, even though I don't think that's going to happen, I don't see the Alabama offense getting shut down by Ohio State's defense. I just don't see it. And there's been so many shootouts. Like, Alabama's played in a shootout. Like, they've played against Florida in a shootout. They've played Ole Miss in a shootout. And I know that none of those are, you know, as good as Ohio State, you could say. But I just think that Devontae Smith is going to have his way with Sean Wade every play. and Sean Wade is their best corner. We're not even mentioning Jalen Waddle and John Mechie and the other receivers. Oh, we haven't even mentioned Najee Harris. I think Alabama will just prove to be too much. I think this will be a close game, but I'm gonna say that Bama wins comfortably. They pull away at the end. I'm going to say that they win 42-28 in this one. So, yeah. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna up that a little bit. I'm gonna go 42-31, upping it on Ohio State's side. So I'm gonna give Ohio State like an extra field goal because I think they'll score more points than that. So 42-31, we'll see what happens. I could be completely wrong like last time. I'm kind of scared, and to see Ryan Day just revel in how right he was, I just don't want to see that. I really don't. I despise Alabama, but Devontae Smith is a Houma, Louisiana native. That's it. That's all we'll say. That's the only thing good. And I respect Nick Saban. I respect what he does. I do not respect Ryan Day. Another thing, I may have mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention it one more time as a final note before we end today's show. When Ohio State came into that Clemson game, it was everything that they'd been thinking about. It was everything that they wanted to avenge. Dabo wasn't even ranking him in the top 10. He was saying, oh, it's easy to watch film. There's only 6 games. All of the ingredients for motivation were there for Ohio State. You're going to get the exact opposite in a Nick Saban press conference. You're going to get him talking about he's going to respect you more than any other coach probably. And he's going to game plan for you better than any other coach probably. And he's going to talk about all the things that you do well in the press conference. And he's going to have his guys respect you and be prepared for you, but they're going to know what to do. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ohio State plays like that in this role, if you will. They're still the underdog, but they're not the disrespected underdog. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ohio State adjusts and how they come out and how they play. We'll find that out very early in the game. I've said that on another episode. But that is the thing that I'm most intrigued to see in this game. And if Ohio State can relish in that underdog role like they did against Clemson, they can win this game. But I'm hoping that because I think they're very cocky, and it seems like they're very cocky and kind of self-absorbed, like Ryan Day seems like he is, that they get popped in the mouth. We'll have to see, though. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to or watching today's episode of 1-0. My name's Jude McClaren. You can follow me on Twitter at Jude McClaren for all of my Twitterness. And you can follow the Strive Network on Twitter at the Strive Network for all the good content, clips, and all that stuff. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll literally catch you guys tomorrow because we're going to do a recap of the national championship. We'll see how long that episode is. And we won't do a divisional thing until, the divisional predictions until probably Friday. But we'll do a recap of the national championship tomorrow night. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. This has been Late Night Jude, and I'll see you guys next time.